stages and declare faith in all sorts, and declare their confidence, and they will go into any corner without no fear. They even do not see or do not demonstrate to us what really God is or where God is. They can't call fire from heaven. They can't even, start their car. If the car breaks down, they have to call engineer to come in there, and some sort of mechanic to come and help. And they will declare faith in all sorts. So we have to really compare things here. But Abraham, in that sense, had to say things to survive, to keep his life going on. So his own effort kept him going on. And if he had said the truth, probably he would have been killed in order to take his wife away from him. Maybe that would have been true. I don't know. We move on to, we stayed in 20. Abraham then survived that, took some things, and the kings realized that it wasn't the sister, it was more of a companion. But he let go. He didn't really, made an issue, big deal out of it. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken, for Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son. In 21, Abraham then had his first son with his true wife, the promise of what is given to Sarah. A long-waiting son that they were looking for. And now they've got it now. From who? The true son, the true descendants that God looked up to. The true blood-related child. This child is coming for the cousins, or Abraham and his cousin, now his wife. They are having true blood, child. This is the descendant. God is trying to breathe out of insects. Today we call it insects. Insects, it's like an abomination. God is breathing insects into, as a nation. And he chose them as the best nation ever. He loved them because their blood was thick and their blood was more united. He used them as an example. Today, Israel is what the light of most of the Christian nation and we look upon to. Sort of, look at the Bible. The Bible is coming from the same end. The whole story is coming from the same end. So, they, at this instance here, have a child. And this is the child that God cherished. And not just that child. God will cherish a lot of child. And even Jesus, Yehoshua, the true man, the Son of God, who came from, has a genealogy which is connected through the same generation. Mary and Joseph, they are all coming from the same generation. Nowhere else, But when it comes to the outside of the Jewish people, like the rest of the people outside, wherever we came from, I don't know, we have to blend in, merge in with the Jewish culture in order to have some identity and some respect, like becoming a Christian, or maybe becoming a Muslim, or become something that, so that you can have an identity and respect. But if you are not there, you're considered as, an alien, or he came from somewhere. That's the sad thing about it. Yet even though the book will be claiming, the same claim of the Islam is the same claim with the Jewish people and all that. All they said, if you do not accept our way of approach of God and all that, then your descendants and your identity is cleared. Your name will be cleared from there, So whether we are actually from the background of Abraham, nobody knows how we ended up outside of this group, because we were not following the worship. That's what we are supposed to believe. But that is not the only worship too. So what are we supposed to say about the Islamic, the Buddhist, the other worshippers? How are we going to say then? Who then those people who have survived, those other worship, they fought to survive. They struggled a lot. They went through a lot to keep, because there was always the other group. If Christians were dominant more, that will always sort of give problems to the other group that is not so, huge. And they have to protect, even today, Muslims have to protect themselves. Christians have to protect themselves. Everybody is protecting his faith. It's the same way it has been generation all this time. Now, it does not necessarily mean that yours is right, that person's is wrong. It's simply a way that you have to do every effort. It's a manly effort. They have made their own personal effort to survive, to keep their faith. Whether they were held by God, God, or whichever it is, any group of society or any group of religion existing today or culture has done everything to survive by their own. Those who did not survive, there are some things, some religion that has been totally cleared out or eradicated or taken off, that we don't even know. We just read about them. We have the existence of empires that don't exist anymore. They have been they've been conquered and cleared. That is possible. So it's the same way that all those that have survived today, Christians, countries, whichever states we have survived, or generation that has survived today, they fought to preserve the way they won over other people. They protected themselves, and that is what we got to this stage. Through that effort of protection is what made the generation kept and survived, including myself and everybody. And not necessarily them being the legitimate process of what a true God or a divine God. That is why they have survived. That God Himself, without any other crooked or some sort of plan means achieving it, or somehow they have survived because they survived. They made the effort. They put themselves there to survive, and not necessarily the divine God from somewhere giving them the guide, protection, some hedge around everything they did, and smoothly went, transformed themselves to that stage for us to be convinced that this is a true binding word of God, that the Jewish people even did not get to where they have got to today, or the Christians did not get to where they are because it just happened because the God was with them, or no. Effort, death was taken, people's life were taken, sacrifices were made to get to that stage. And if they weren't made the sacrifice, they would have lost their identity. Americans would not survive. Maybe I won't survive. So many people will not probably not survive. Maybe it would have been different people who probably has taken the grounds and their effort has succeeded. They won, and they probably would have been there now. But vice versa, there are those who lost. Some also lost, and there was some sort of sympathy made towards them, and they survived. Like Africa, could be one of the easily one, and other countries in the world. So many places had been crushed culturally and religiously, whichever way, and they have to be colonized by masters, and they gradually in their submission, and then that gradual process of all that, blend in the system that they were controlled by, and gradually develop themselves, knowledge-wise and all that. And somehow they were able to request and ask for their independence and reinstate themselves again. But they lost what they've lost. They lost. Their reinstatement was merely to adapt what their masters were doing and keep on that path. So it's like you don't reinstate and become who you were. You become someone else. Because without that, you can't survive. You have no records of your past. You don't have anything to go back for. You have to move on. And that's what it is. We are moving on. But we are, some of the people are example of what, and what I'm talking about is about pure examples of what it is. So there are some cultures that didn't survive, some tribes, some people, some sort of languages or some things that never survived, that they don't make it. Their effort didn't pay off. They couldn't protect themselves so well from others, and that is the situation. But still, life goes on. And in the same manner, you can look at that and realize that the survivor of the Bible, the survivor of me, the survivor of Christianity, Islamic, whatever, is all based on the same thing. No protection from any strange, they would have lost, they would have got the ground, they would have lost, they would have gained. They gained, others lost. Maybe something miraculous happened, whatever way it is. They got there because they made efforts. Even if the miracle was there, they made efforts. Sometimes the book is being referred to miracle happening, but effort is being required of the people, and the effort to be put in, and then something good will come out of it, and then the Spirit will then act. But I say that If spirit is doing something, it's going to be fully the spirit, because the spirit did not do anything, including myself, by the help of his creatures.